everything. How is your family?
Family is good, thank you. Everyone is okay,
Uh-huh.
and we're just waiting to go to work, like like everybody
Hmm,
else.
how are you doing in these days? We knew that you are writing your memories.
Yes, we thought that I thought that it was probably the most opportune time to devote um, into a project like that because otherwise I don't think I would have done it. Maybe for a long, long time. If ever. So this was a good opportunity to fill in all the downtime that we have. Still stay very busy. I do many interviews almost every day. But at the same time, I can devote a lot of time to that project, and um, and that's it. So that's one good thing that I think came out of this pandemic.
Oh, okay. Uh, in this time, do you believe that racing car calendar must go on? Championship with 8, 10 races is enough?
Well, if we could just get started, I think every sanctioning body will have to be creative, maybe to create double headers and fill in the schedule as much as possible. I think you can still salvage the championship if you can start even in July, because uh, you can go deep into the season, and Formula One is even potentially talking about going into next year to finish off the championship. So, um, yeah, you have to be. They're going to have to be flexible. What I like is the fact that the major series they have a plan. They have a plan in place, and there's a potential that may have to make some changes, especially how and when it will start. But as long as there's a plan, there's something encouraging to me as a fan, as an aficionado of the sport, and for many other, hopefully millions of fans that want to see the real thing. So we're hoping every day because, as we can see that around the world, things are getting better. Better. All the governments are getting more control of this problem, this issue, and um, and I think once we start going, everyone will probably be more mindful of the protocol, what you need to do to stay safe and be hygienically uh, cleaner and so forth, but at the same time, we just need to get the world working again.
Yeah. Mm. Now the drivers are so specialized in just one category. It was very different when you were driving. Um, were there more passion or curiosity before?
Well, it's hard to say because it's a very personal thing. In my opinion, even some of the drivers today could still do move around more if they really wanted to. Um, I know that many say, well, contract. Well, my every one of my major contract prohibited me from doing anything else, but I did it anyway. So I remember I tell the story one time during my championship year. Colin Chapman was doing a test at Silverstone, and he said, "What are you doing this weekend? Because we don't have a race." I said, "Oh, I'm racing in the U.S. with Roger Penske." He said, "Well, you can't do that." I said, "I know, but I will." So it's just one of those things. I think it has to do with the individual passion, desire, to be curious, and the important thing is, at a certain level of the sport, you probably have opportunities to be with top equipment in
Mhm.
another category, which is because it's very important. If you want to race another category, you don't want to race just for the sake of racing. You want to be able to go there and have an opportunity, a chance to win. and you can only do that with a top team. So I had those opportunities, of course, and that's what I think that was probably for me, even as a driver, was really one of the most important parts of my career for sure.
For example, you raced Pikes Peak and you won, but you never come back again. Why?
Because to win it, I had to take so many risks,
Oh,
and I said because there, if you make a small mistake, it can be a big one, and you can be on the side of the mountain, no guardrail, and and you could easily kill yourself. So uh, I took so many risks that day that I figure, you know what, I don't want to push my luck anymore, and I figure I'm not coming back here. So because I didn't know the place well enough, to feel more comfortable. But in order for me to really take advantage of situation, I was really risking in the most dangerous area, because that's where even the drivers that are most experienced, they know, to back off there. And I was really, really being a bit stupid about it, but I got away with it. And then I figure, okay, now that I want it, I will leave it to others.
uh, but you drove a lot of time in dirty tracks. What did you learn there?
I You always learn something, no matter from one discipline to another, from one track to another. I think I benefited from I think being pretty good on wet tracks, on a wet race, from the experience that I derive in dirt track racing, because in dirt track racing, conditions change dramatically throughout the race, and you're always searching. You find a way to adapt, search for grip, and take a different line. That's what you have to do on a
Mhm.
wet race,
Yeah.
because conditions change. The track dries or gets wetter and so
Mhm.
forth, and you take a different line. Usually, sometimes you even take the totally opposite line than what you do when you're dry. So I think, again, that discipline helped me, in something that's so different. I mean, nothing more different, as far as the skill required than dirt track racing to, say, Formula One,
Uh-huh.
and I used to go from that to that, sometimes from one week to the next. In fact, at one time in '68, I did it from one day to the next, from Italy, come back to the States on Saturday, race there, and go back Sunday, So, um, again, my passion was driving me, the love, pure love for driving, and the curiosity, as I said earlier, to be able to try to excel, in the different top categories. And again, it was all about deriving the pure satisfaction that kept me so motivated. So again, I was very fortunate that I had those opportunities.
Mhm. I told you this because I saw you in Japan Grand Prix 1966. It was
76,
difficult.
1976.
Yeah, it was so difficult.
Well, it was, there was a lot of tremendous amount of aquaplaning. It was almost impossible to keep the car straight, even going down the straightaway, long straightaway with many, many rivers, and puddles. Yeah, it was probably for me the most difficult wet race ever,
Mhm.
anywhere. And in fact, I remember that just before the start, as drivers, we were asking, can we just wait maybe 30 minutes, to wait, because it was raining, it was coming down just like buckets tremendously. And they said, nope, no, you must go. We must go now and be on time. And I couldn't believe it, because my feet, everything was wet, my shoes and so forth. So Yeah, it was a. Of course, we all had the same problem, but it was a terrible situation. You saw that it was so bad that poor Nicky, after coming back from his terrible accident, his eyes were tearing so bad, and he couldn't see either because I was, I think our visibility, even without following a car, even when I was in the lead, was maybe 20%. That's how bad it was.
Well, uh, also, you compete in Le Mans in 1966. You drove a Ford GT40 Mark II, maybe.
Mark two.
Yeah, Mark II. The rivalry against Ferrari, it was so hard, like Ford versus Ferrari film.
Well, yeah, it was a big rivalry. That was the objective from Henry Ford was to beat Ferrari. That was the entire idea. That's why they had such a huge, big effort, to develop a car that could do that. And at that point, they were really superior, and the great driver lineup they had as well. So that's why they won. It was a definite, clear, to some degree, bitter rivalry. But at the same time, it was correct. It was just a matter of applying the proper effort. It was a great effort there.
Mhm. What do you remember when you met Enzo Ferrari for first time?
Well, I was very nervous because it was in Monza in 1969, where I was driving in 1,000 kilometers with Chris Amon, and and that's the first time that I had the opportunity to meet him face to face. And again, like I said, I was very nervous because usually he didn't go to too many races. Monza was probably, and Imola were probably the only ones, and he was there. But he was very kind and very understanding because actually during practice, I had a small crash. I was trying to really impress him, and then I'm driving back with the front of the car all, broken up, and I figure, oh my God, now he's going to fire me. Instead, he had a smile on his face because he knew that I was trying really hard, and he would never penalize the driver for trying hard, and that's why how many crashes that Gilles Villeneuve had, and he loved them because he said, he's driving 10 tenths, maybe 11 tenths usually, and Mr. Ferrari was a true racer, and uh, and he loved drivers that really, really stayed at the limit.
Why did you like so much the Ferrari 82?
I love the power, the horsepower, because I had never driven before at that point the turbocharged engine, the turbocharged era, uh, and it came on right after I left Formula One, and I was really impressed with the power, and I liked the car. The car was a good car, in my opinion. Immediately, I felt very comfortable in it when I did a test the week before in Fiorano, and uh, and you can see that if you can put a car on pole and be competitive, you know that it's good for you. It suited my style very well.
Yeah.
I should have won that race. I had a sticking throttle, one of the turbocharger, the left side. Uh, Something happened and I lost power the last 4 or 5 laps of the race. But I still finished podium. But I should have won that race.
But did you like this car more than Lotus 78?
Well, it's hard to say, because they both had their quality, no question. But what I liked about the Ferrari at that point, I liked the chassis, but also liked the power
Mhm.
because, it had probably maybe 300 more horsepower than the Cosworth engine,
Oh,
and uh, and that's a lot. And the car was like a bomb. It was from a driver. a driver always wants more power. And
Yeah.
this car in the qualifying trim had 1100 horsepower. That's what I was told. And it felt like that because you could get wheel spin. I could get wheel spin in fourth gear. And so, yeah, it was amazing. I was getting wheel spin between the Lesmos,
Uh-huh.
and so I love that. I just loved to be able to handle that power.
Uh-huh. You had a special relationship with Ronnie Peterson. Why do you admire him?
I loved Ronnie as a human being and as a driver as well, of course. He and I just were good friends. Just we were fierce competitors on the track, and at the same time we were good friends off the track. Our families, spent time together, and it's just one of those things. I was good friends with him before we became teammates as well.
Oh.
So again, it was just a tragedy of all tragedies to lose him the way we did.
We remember you on board the Lotus 79 with John Player special livery. It was the most beautiful car that you ever drove.
Well, I think for sure many people think so. I like to think as well that the car was just the style and not only that, it just looked right. It looked like everything, especially at the time, was just perfect. And as a driver, it gives you confidence, when you're driving something like that, and it's obviously good mechanically. uh, the weakness that the Lotus 79 had was the brakes.
Oh.
There was a problem with the rear brakes overheating because they were right next to the gearbox, much closer, and a lot of people didn't realize we had almost every race that I won. I had to pump the brakes all the time, to get, and so it was very difficult. And we had a difficult time trying to convince Colin Chapman what was happening because as soon as you stop, you put the pedal, ooh, the brake looks good. So what are you talking about? So, even Ronnie would complain and Colin just didn't want to hear. So, but the car was that good that we still could win some races with it like that.
Uh, what do you remember about Roberto Guerrero? He raced on F1 and IndyCar in the 80s and 90s. What do you remember?
Well, I knew Roberto very well, obviously, because always uh, when I was close, even in Formula One or in Indy cars. I remember. I think the first time I met him was in Argentina. I think somewhere. I think so. But anyway, yeah, we were. We all get to know each other quite well. Drivers' meetings, we all talk. And. Uh, I remember one bad time for him where at the start of the Indy 500 there, where he was trying to spin the rear tires to warm up. It was a very cold day in 92, I think it was. And he was trying to warm up, heat up the rear tires, and he spun at the start and he was on pole. And I felt really bad for him, and so, but again, but a good man, a good guy.
Yeah. And do you met with Juan Pablo Montoya?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. All of that. I have this. The interesting. I have a list here of the Colombian drivers that the Sebastian Saavedra, of course, and Guerrero, Gabi Chavez, Juan Petrajita. Juan is. I really like that young man as well.
Uh-huh.
He's my teammate with a two-seater.
Uh-huh.
Whenever he doesn't have a ride, and he deserves a good drive, in Indy cars. At the top level, he's a very good little driver. He's very quick
Mhm.
and a nice man. So find him a sponsor.
Uh, you won car championship with the Newman-Haas in 1984. Yeah, and you stayed with this team until 1994. Um, what made this relationship so special?
It was very easy because it was a team that gave me everything that a driver needs. I really found a home there. When I came out of Formula One, I've, all along I felt I was going to end my career here in the U.S. with Indycars, and uh, and the first year, I was not very happy with the team I was, and then when uh, Carl Haas and Paul Newman, we put them together, with Lola to do, the team. It was really the best situation I could hope for, quite honestly. And as you could see, that I really found a home there, So again, the fact that I drove, 12 seasons for them tells you the story, and yeah, I was very fortunate, of course, and then, to even at one point to have my son as my teammate, where we had, quite a bit of success together. That was very special moments, very special times.
Yeah. We heard that Paul Newman driving a Volvo station wagon. Is that true?
Yeah, he had a Volvo station wagon with a big Chevy turbocharged Chevy engine in it, with the 600 horsepower. And you know, if you went to the stoplight, people wanted to race him, and then he would, not encourage, but then all of a sudden he would just blow away, like a rocket. So he was an interesting guy, Paul.
Mm, you have driving cars, motorcycles, ultralinings. Have you been on board in a fighter airplane?
A fighter, yeah, yes.
Yeah. Oh.
I've been on fighter aircraft. I've been on F-15, F-16, F-111. Yeah, and in fact, on F-16, we also did mid-air refueling,
Yeah.
And I was in the controls. I did a lot of loops, and uh, uh, and they let me fly quite a bit, on the F-16. We flew one time from Phoenix, Arizona to Homestead, Florida, and we did mid-air refueling in Alexandria, Texas.
Uh-huh.
But we had all that time, and at one point from Alexandria, Texas to Florida, we only filed 19,000 feet, so it was a good time to do a lot of, do a lot of maneuvers. And the pilot let me do a lot of stuff, and I love fighter aircraft. I think if I didn't pursue the career of a racing driver, I think I would have probably would have pursued that.
Yeah, yeah, you love the G forces.
Yeah, G-force is amazing, amazing. Yeah, I pulled actually. I was flying, as you mentioned, G-forces.
Mhm.
I was flying myself, and I pulled 9 Gs,
Uh-huh.
and I stayed with it, and I didn't, And the pilot was actually, he was impressed in a sense because I was already like 50 years old, and he said at that age sometimes, but I was used to G's, and never nine, but and I was able to deal with that.
Yeah. Mm. Is speed no limits in your life, but where you find it for exceeding speed limits anytime?
No, I'm a very safe driver. I want to make sure that I don't put anybody in danger on the road. So my driving record is clean, and sometimes I drive a little fast, maybe, but it's very safe.
Yeah. Mm. Mm. Could you is it possible that Fernando Alonso returns to the F1?
Well, I think it's possible for sure. I have no idea where he would go actually, because it would. I don't know if he can go back to McLaren. I doubt it. I don't think he would go back to Ferrari. So where would he go? Red Bull or I don't know, Renault maybe. I don't know where he could go. I'm sure if he returns, he will want to be with a team capable of winning. We would definitely like to see him back, in Formula One for sure. He's still young enough. But it could be interesting where he could find a drive, an open seat.
Do you see something in Michael to be successful in business of car racing?
My son Michael?
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, successful as a businessman
yeah,
and as an owner.
yeah.
Oh, yes. I think, quite honestly, he's very ambitious. And you look at how many series he's involved in and many cars he's actually fielding in Indycar. This year, he was starting the season with 5 cars. And there was a plan to potentially have 7 cars at Indianapolis, 7 cars. And I know that he has a lot of interest in Formula One, and he was negotiating also to buy one of the teams that like Force India, and sooner or later, I think some of the rules change a little bit. I think don't be surprised if you see him as an owner in Formula One as well. So. Yeah, Michael has very ambitious plans for his future. You could see that he has success just about everywhere as far as whatever series he's been involved in. Whether it was Rallycross or Formula E or even down in with what do you call it? I can't remember Whitcroft in Australia. Yeah, supercars, Australia, supercars.
Mhm.
And anyway, yeah, I'm very proud of Michael. As far as a driver, I think he was as good as anybody I've ever driven against. And now he, as an owner, he's going to be, God willing, in this business a long time.
Uh, when this lockdown ends, what is the first thing that you will do?
As soon as we go back to work, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
as soon as this thing opens up,
Yeah.
I'm going to be driving. Be driving the 2-seater immediately.
Oh, thanks a lot, Mr. Andretti. And please, can you send a greeting for your fans in Auto Extra in Colombia?
Yes, to all the fans in Colombia, I salute you and thank you for being the fans of the sport that we love so much.